Hey, it's me, LH Music, and you know I'm all dressed up. You know what time it is. It's gotta be fifth Sunday of Easter, and it's time for another edition of my religious life video blog. And it's gotta be, you know who, you guessed it. John chapter 14, verse 1 through 14 says, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I told you that I will go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And you will know the way to the place where I am." Where am I going? Thomas said to him, the Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. And if you know me, you will know my Father also. From now on, you do not know him, and have seen him." Philip said to him, "Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied." Jesus said to him, "I have been with you all this time." Philip "And you still do not know me. Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me, who does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. But if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. Very truly, I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works, and that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these, because I am going to the Father. I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If in my name you ask me for anything, I will do it. So here's why, because on this fifth Sunday of Easter, that's why Eric told me, you should walk faster during this performance. I said, I just walk faster. Be so slow. I am not, because you know why? Because in this gospel passage of John chapter 14, because you know why? Because on these three previous occasions, we learn of Jesus deeply troubles their feelings. And when he faced Lazarus' tomb, guess what? Everybody knows, in the contemplative of the cross, and when he reflected the betrayal of Judas, Jesus' confidence in this great power of purposes of God made it possible for him. Now you know that God made it possible to comfort these crises, whatever it is, identity crisis, family crisis, you guessed it. The disciples must face the reality of the same feelings. And Jesus answered can be read. Either you know who, indicated because you already believe in God, and you believe in me, or imperative, believe in God, believe also in me. And you know why? Since the Greek forms of this indication and imperative are identical in this case, and that's why both of those verbs seems preferable. Now, since Jesus is charging his disciples to hold fast in the light of upcoming crisis, and that's why this follows the majority of readings of current translations. Trust in God. Trust also in me. This is what happens if one of those reasons to trust in the trust is that Jesus' departure will be purposeful in his departure, and he will be working on their behalf, preparing a room for them. And now you know that was in the 17th century expressions of this modern dwellings, and it should be built a picture for us. And you know who, you guessed it, of heavenly Pato residence. And this is not God. This is not Jesus' point. God's house and anyone else about this gospel passage, because it will remain in this highest virtue of this John gospel passage. And that's why he was promising that death will not interrupt intimacy and joy with him. And to have a place in heaven reserved for us is one thing. One thing's for sure. That covenant is getting. There is quite another. But LH Music, what about Jesus? Here's the promise that he makes. Jesus promised that he will come back. The image is straightforward, and Jesus is living for heaven. Sure, he's seen AD, the Bible continues on NBC.com, and you know what that means. He leaves for heaven and prepare a place for his followers, and he will return to take them there. And why? Because in that moment, when this coming occurs at Easter, at the coming of spirits, the Spirit, and what about the second coming? Well, guess what? Scholars have pointed to each of these. For some, it is one together, so that the verses will represent a sweeping, all-inclusive promise of encouragement. Here's the bottom line about this one. This is going to be very important. They're very important to everybody else. This is the case. And why? Because Jesus is the truth. He is the way, the truth, and life. And that's why he hears what God says and obeys. And my dad told me, would you mind putting a patch on his broken ribs? That my dad just got in a car accident last week. And I said, fine, no problem. And he told me, and that's why my dad obeys me. And this is what happens. Because I am the resurrection, because everyone else, because those who follow Jesus comes to the Father and of his way. Because I am the way, the truth, and the life, because I am the resurrection and the life. And thus, because these verses could be the role of a mediator and the only avenue to God. And why? Because all truth is God's truth, and all life is God's life, but God's truth and God's life will be incarnate in Jesus. So that's why. Because it has happened. 3 things. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Because it is in me. Because it is the Father himself who knows. The moral of this religious life story, or should we say, my religious life video blog story of this 5th Sunday of Easter, because here's why. Because agencies bears touches the surface of Jesus' thought, and Jesus and the Father will enjoy the joy of life, and the Father is in him, and he is in the Father, and that is why this is not merely functional unity, as if Jesus' life, that's right, Jesus' life could be summed up by his obedience. And this is an exhausted, substantial unity, and ontological unity. And that means that at last explains the whole statements, hint, in the public ministry. I and the Father are one. This sounds simple to you? Good. Just read the chapter 14, John chapter 14, and you will learn how to love each other and live. Because everybody knows that because I am the way and the truth and life. And obey your instance. Anyways, that's my religious life video blog story. And I'm sticking to it. And I gotta do a show. See ya.